Hello and welcome once again to Baked Beans Garage, where I have bought an American vehicle. Can you believe it? I hardly can. This is my 73 to 78-ish Bolens HT20, a large frame Bolens garden tractor. Brick's with us again today. Anyways, this has been sitting for at least 10, maybe 20 years, I'm not sure. It doesn't run. Let's get into it. Now a little bit of Bolens history before we get started. Bolens, the company, is accredited with coming up with the first, not only garden tractor, but the first garden tractor with a hydrostatic transmission, which is the standard these days. That was in 1968 with the Bolens 1250, I believe. That would have had a single cylinder Wisconsin 12-horse engine and a Eaton 10 rear end, I believe. This, being an HT20, was built between 73 and 78, if I'm correct. It has the Kohler K532 20-horse opposed twin-cylinder engine, still air-cooled, and the Sunstrand 15 rear end. That one over there, that is a 1886 Husky that would have had the 18-horse flavor of this engine, the K482, and it has a Eaton 12 rear end, which has the Bolens cast into it, which is nice. We don't have that on this one, but a little updated rear end. Excited are we? Now, I don't really get along with carburetors or points ignitions, so today's going to be a learning experience. Also forced to dig up all my SAE tools. Got them fractional bolts, not a fan of. Power steering on this one, very fancy. This was the executive model, I suppose. Now, I know it's not locked up, but it don't run. I already noticed. Looks like the ignition coil was crying a little bit. Not sure what that juice is leaking out of there. Electron cube is missing. I do know that the fuel smells like, once again, the smell Leonard Skinner was talking about. Ooh, not a fan. Not a fan. Of course, this is a gasoline model. I don't think the diesels came until late 70s, early 80s. Mild electrical headaches look like are going on. That's that's not in accordance with any ESPM. I don't know what that is. If the gauge is to be believed, got 1,019 hours. I doubt that works. Hydraulic, I'm not even sure if this has a deck lift cylinder on it. There we see the PTO drive shaft. That's what'll run your deck if you have one. I do have a deck for this 54-inch cut, I believe. Also being a later model, this has hydraulic hookups at the front as well as the rear. Very fancy. Also got some chassis weights on this one. Believe those would have been aftermarket. This looks like some kind of universal kit. Just something about this shotgun exhaust. Love it. Since it's a gasser, it's been sitting for a long time. I'm not even going to bother trying to get it running without cleaning out the carburetor first. So let's start taking things apart. And of course, make sure you got your supervision. I just don't know what I'm looking at. There is a deck lift cylinder down there. Also me realizing while I have toolboxes full of metric tools, this is the entirety of my SAE collection. So I may be completely unprepared. I am completely unprepared. Anyways, let's just start taking stuff apart. Suppose I should also mention that I'm starting here because I've already thrown an electron cube in it, and it does turn over quite nicely, and it seems to even make some compression. This is going to be the longest part of the whole process, is just trying to find tools. I cannot eyeball anything SAE. Oh yeah. Crust factor supreme. So there's the item of interest, a carburetor. Here we got our choke and our go fast control. Here's the breaker points housing. I'm hoping not to have issues there, but I probably will. We'll figure it out. Anyways, being an air-cooled engine, cleanliness is important so the heat can get out of it. So before I do anything, I'm gonna make this slightly prettier. So that's a little better, a little more presentable. So now I'm going to pop the carburetor off. I also have a new Sparky Spark box. I'll also take the tank out. I'm going to throw some diesel in there and slosh it around, try to break up the old varnish. At least it's empty. Oh, that's factory mounting. These fuel lines are so perished, I can't even bend it enough to get the tank out. So I went and found my rustiest hacksaw blade. I'm gonna have to use that. That was just gonna take too long. Remember, violence is not the answer, it's the question. The answer is yes. That worked good. All right, now we have the carburetor here on the bench. All I'm gonna do is pop the bowl off, make sure the float and needle are moving freely, and make sure the main jet is not obstructed with varnish. It's not nearly as bad as I thought it would be in here. It was actually mostly empty, apart from some sludge. But yeah, even the needle and seat look pretty clean somehow. Anyways, I'm going to clean it up with some brake clean. Make sure my jet's clear. And slap it back on. I'm also going to fill this up and let the float sit in there a while just to make sure it's not sinking. And we're looking pretty good. Got everything cleaned up with some Scotch-Brite and the brake clean. The important thing to note when you're cleaning out an old carb like this, all you want to do is spray some brake clean or carb clean up through the main jet and make sure you're getting juice on the inside of the carb. This is a pretty simple carb. I don't even see any idle circuit except maybe back in there. A good rule of thumb, just spray the brake clean into any holes you can find and make sure it comes out the other end. Like here's the needle and the inlet. Ah, that tasted nice. Now it's making me look like an idiot. What? There. That's the fuel inlet. Just make sure it's coming out where the needle and seat is. Right, so now I just got to put it back together. I'm also going to replace the Teflon tape on the inlet here because this is a pipe thread just for good measure. And now the old toilet bowl spec fuel metering device is back in. The rest of the fuel system, I mean, there's hardly anything to it. I rinsed out the tank with some fresh gas. It was empty, mercifully, so not too much varnish to deal with. I got some new hose and a new filter. Oh, OEM Kohler. Perfect. Anyway, gonna snip those items back in. Then we'll put in the fire plugs. See if there's juices in it, and then just crank on the ignition stick. But with that, the only question mark left is this little fuel pump ding-a-ling here. No idea what its condition is, but worst case scenario, the tank still sits above the carb, so if this is no good, I can just omit it and fill the tank all the way up and it should run fine. Alright, so these old sparkalizers weren't too bad. Beginning of some carbon fouling on there, but no matter. Got the new Johnnies in there, got the new coil on. For some reason this bolt pattern is a little different, so I only got one holding it on there. Anyways, I think it's about time to snip the new electron cube in there and see if she'll go. Now there's quite a specific reason I chose this exact battery. It's because it's the cheapest one Walmart has. It'll also fit in my Rabbit and my GTI. Ooh, I took off the ground cable earlier. Got to put that back on. All right. I believe we do have oil. Yeah. Within operating range. Actually pretty clean looking. All right. Key is on. Let's see. Ruh-roh. Oh. PTO is on. Still nothing. Do I have to have the brake? Oh! I do have to have the brake, and something splashed. What was that? Oh, you know what? It's probably just water that was trapped in the fan shroud from when I was hosing her down. That ain't too big a deal. Anyway, let me find an old spark plug and I'll check for some spark. What is this? A safety feature? Very annoying. There's spark. Let me open the petcock on the tank. Probably have to put some gas in it too. I'm gonna snip some laughing gas down the throat hole. Hopefully she'll crack off. She's a runner. All right, hopefully she can start drinking some juice. There's fuel in there, so it should just be a matter of cranking over. So the micro switch that inhibits the starter when the PTO is on is the same as the one for the brake. So I think I can bypass all that with a zip tie here. Well, I should have left the camera on, I guess. Yeah, the zip tie worked, and she finally drew some fuel. So I think we might just be running. Maybe. While she is running, I'm not very happy. Oh yeah. All right. Let's do some maintenance, then we'll drive it around. Said maintenance is going to include an oil change. That's about it. The hydrostat dipstick is back here. These just use ATF for the hydrostatic fluid and, you know, all the hydraulic stuff. I can see where the level's been sitting. There's a bit of rust on the dippy stick there, so I'm hoping there's not too much corrosion inside that transaxle. That would be bad and expensive. But anyways, got some fresh Rotella for her. All right, that's about it. Time to go for a drive. Let's see if she'll start just as nicely as she did before. Oh yeah, beautiful. She runs good. We got quite a lot of gear noise. That could be indicative of a bull gear issue. We'll get to that, but hey, the power steering works, and it works really nice. She's a peach. Let's go for a little drive. Yeah, a lot of gear noise. I know these are straight cut gears all the way down. There's some bricks. And if that's to be believed or even charging, it's only like, I think, a 6 amp alternator. But hey, it goes good. That's a nice idle even. What a gem. Ooh, she's dieseling a little bit. That is probably carbon buildup on the cylinder heads. Once it builds up enough, it can glow a little incandescently, and it will cause that. And we got some smoke. That's just burning off old grime, probably. Anyways, big fan of this Sunstrain transmission. It's like a modern lawnmower where forward and back is just like Zoe, a little more operator friendly than the old Eaton units where you got the shifter here. You got park, reverse. It's basically a Prindle with no low, and then once you put it in gear, then that's all the action you have. Oh, good lord. This transmission is a little more lively than the little John Deere, I'll admit. That's going to take some getting used to. I hope I didn't just put a hole in the rear tire. She runs good. Oh, there's the dieseling again. Oh no. Oh, that's quite bad. So probably gonna have to pull these heads off. About to order some head gaskets. All right, so running out of daylight today, given daylight savings just come through. What? So meowthy? Yeah, about out of daylight today. I think tomorrow I'm gonna try to snip maybe the mower deck on. Maybe do some mulching of the leaves. I'm too lazy to rake. But yeah, so far so good. He approves. Carved out a spot in the shed for her tonight. Look at that. What a peach! It's a little brick this morning. Let's check this cold start action. Lovely. And now I'm just going to clean her up a little bit to be pretty, and then we'll try to snip that deck on. I've been procrastinating. Those things are quite heavy. All right, so we're cleaned up. She's looking pretty nice. Even gave her a cut and buff. That was absolutely necessary, but nice and shiny now. For the grip tape here, I done glued it back down with some shoe goo. If you're not familiar, I'm not one to plug product unless it really works nice and good. Shoe goo works nice and good. I don't know what that first word means, but goo, I understand. Gonna start working on this deck over here. Figured while she's downwards topside. Yes? All right. He's just living his best life. Anyways, since it is downwards topside at the moment. Figured I'd snag those blades off and give them a sharpen before I turn it back over. That's a heavy fella. What? Okay. Well, unfortunately, I only got far enough to realize I'm missing most of the hardware, so I'm going to have to raid the Husky there for it. Most notably, the front end of the PTO shaft is just missing. So, at least the engine's out. That makes for some easy access to it. Oh, unfortunately, I have found here these linkages for the deck lift cylinder. This guy seems to be a little stripped out, so I'm going to have to give that a zap zap. I swear that deck is so heavy, it seems to exist only to spite me. Anyways, that was miserable, but it seems to be on now. I guess here's the moment of truth. Let's see if the PTO and the deck lift cylinder work. Oh yeah. Just a peach. Hey, let's go. That makes me quite happy. Blades be spinning. Let's go for a lap. My little man's begging for a cameo. I think I gotta give him one. What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? Nothing, that's what. Alright, let's get back to it. Yoink! Now I don't know what year you're watching this video, but this tractor is 50 years old, and she is doing her job without a complaint. I think something fell off. And it appears that's exactly what happened. The deck lift linkage here popped off. Gotta find a better way to affix that. No matter. I'm glad that 30-year-old, 40-year-old, maybe 50-year-old belt's holding on. So now I've spent a few days with the old girl, just mulching some leaves around my yard, doing just fine. Running like a dream. Even put a few more hours on her. So that quartz meter seems to be working, so I'm guessing those are the original hours. Only one minor problem with the deck. I don't have the original linkages for the deck lift. That was my solution because I can't get the pin in there with these Heim joints. That one keeps falling off. The little C-clamp deal didn't work. So I got to figure something out for that. Also this morning, I woke up to one dead flat tire. I think she finally gone and delaminated because it wasn't taking air at all. So I've snipped a few more items off the Husky to get her going again. Anyways, now that I know I'm not going to have to do major surgery on this transaxle, I'm going to go ahead and change that fluid. And it certainly would have been easier without the deck on because filter's right there, drain plug's there. And I only just realized this tire just came debeaded when it went flat, so I'm going to try to put it back together with the old Reliable here. Having two different tires on the front's really waxing my oyster. And now that she's all maintenanced up, I think I got myself quite the capable little rig here. Quite pleased. There was a bit of metal on the magnetic drain plug from the transaxle there, but I'm not too worried about it. She still goes quite nicely. I also gave all the grease fittings I could find a few pumps of the old arrow shell. But with that, pretty much all that's left is cosmetic, which I'll get to next time. Shout out to these V-belts that are most likely older than me for hanging on for this whole episode. I looked at the PTO belts. They're quite dry rotted, starting to crack, but the deck belt ain't so bad. And unfortunately, the original tire is not holding wind at all, so we'll just have to snip some new rubber on there as well. So that, as well as probably some stickers, maybe some paint. She does have a nice patina. We'll see. That'll happen next time. So if you found this video entertaining or informative or some combination of the two, I do ask that you support the channel, like, subscribe, leave a hateful comment, tell me everything I did wrong. Anyways, I'm Chinchilla, this has been Baked Beans Garage, and I will see you next time.